Hi crafty friends, welcome back to ShanoukiArt. My name is Shana. Today I'm going to be working in my Prompt.Create.Repeat book. I'm going with the prompt Use Only Magazines. When I started flipping through the magazines to find elements for the page, I found this image first. I loved the colors and the tone, and this is what set the theme for the page. So then as I continued through my magazines, I was looking for elements and items that would suit that first image. We're going with blues and grays, some white and some green. I was lucky enough to find this word, which I've cut down to read breathe, in a beautiful grey color, which really suits the overall theme. This really was just harvesting images that would all go together and that I actually found appealing. So I've got some flowers, some design background, and then I also picked something that had black and white. These were really awesome. I loved this clock, so I've pulled that to the side, and then I've got some little black and white frames, some text. These books I thought were really good, and then these painted black and white pots. And I thought I'd add some black and white for contrast. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do the page, so I've collected quite a few elements, and we'll see later how they're going to fit together. I love this page with all the white daisies. And then these pages full of text, they were the same. The one was in like a vintage neutral and one was in a light blue and grey. So as usual, more than I need, but we'll see what will work together. The magazines I used today was the Magnolia Journal. I have a few of those. I found images in 2. And then I've got the latest Better Homes and Gardens. There's always beautiful flower images and botanicals in that one. There's Gardening Australia. And then this one, which is Fabulous French Trends. So today's page turned out a little bit more of what I would call a glue book. It's combining a whole lot of elements, specifically just from magazines, to make an overall image that is aesthetically pleasing. For the background, I'm going to use this daisy image, and I'm going to cover the whole page. I won't need to add any kind of gesso or prep the paper of the book for this, because I am just going to use a glue stick and I'm really just sticking magazine paper onto paper. It won't need any prep, and glue stick is plenty, and it's all I'm going to use for today's page. I love this image of this flower, and when I cut it out, I left a small amount of green all the way around framing it, and I think it came out pretty magnificent. Now if I leave that main image, that first one I found with the flower, directly onto this daisy background, it's going to get lost. So I need something in between that to create a break and a point of difference. So I'm going to use this beigey vintagey color paper with the black text. Although this is my background, not a lot of it is going to be showing, but the section that is going to be the one mainly along the spine. And I want mainly flowers to show there. So I've just sort of torn a section that sort of was just green to allow there to be more image of flowers on the far left, along the spine. I hope that made sense. So you can see by placing that text paper behind these elements, they do pop off the page and show up better and don't get lost in that background. I really love this frame to use for contrast. It seems that the theme of this is turning out to be that French provincial or sort of farmhouse modern, which is exactly the kind of style I actually like for my home. Hence why I have those Magnolia journals. If you don't know who she is, her name is Joanna Gaines. Her and her husband Chip have a series on the telly, I'm not sure which channel, that is called Your Fixer Upper, where they renovate homes, and I just absolutely love her style of decorating. And the elements that I have chosen for today's page are sort of reminding me of that. Creating balance with the contrast, I'm adding a piece of the black and white clock to balance out with that frame that I've put on the top left. Now, if you haven't seen these books of mine before, they're called Prompt, Create, Repeat. This is the first one in the series. I do have 3. They're available on Amazon. I will put a link in the description box below. And what they are is they're a workbook for you to work in, and each book has got 50 prompts. The prompt is on the left-hand side of the page, like you can see here, and then you work on the right-hand side. I've created this book as an invitation to break the rules, to make a mess and explore creative freedom of mixed media. And each prompt is just a gentle nudge just to start the process. When you're sticking big pieces of paper down like this onto your work, it is a good idea to have something like a bone folder. If you don't have a bone folder, something like a popsicle stick, just to try and press over it once you've applied the paper to your project, just to try and get some of those air bubbles out. It's okay if there are a few ripples or if some air bubbles do stay. I personally don't mind, but if you want a really flat look without any wrinkles, do try and press it down at the very beginning while the glue is still a little wet. I've just used my hands to press it down, and I just work from the center out, trying to get any air bubbles out. And then I'm going to trim off the excess, and then I can start to build the rest of my page. I'm adding an additional frame around this main image. I'm using that text paper that I'm using in part of the background, but in the blue color. I've stuck it down and I'm just tearing and leaving about 3 to 4 centimeters all the way around. You'll notice that I stuck the image down at a diagonal across the text. And I did that to allow for some text to be all the way around the image. If I had stuck it down in sort of the alignment with the text, there would have been gaps in between the paragraphs. If I had done it long ways and stuck it along the paragraphs, there could have been gaps where the in-between paragraphs were, if that makes sense. This way, there's a little bit of lettering all the way around. Only half the clock is going to be visible in the final layout, so I don't want to waste that beautiful clock. I'm going to tear it in half, and I can always use the other half in another project. Let me show you a close-up of the page so you can see all the beautiful details. Someone had a fantastic idea that they left for me in the comments in the last Prompt.Create.Repeat video, and they said I should date each page, which now I'm going to do. So I've got a little date stamp, so I'm going to date this one, and then I'm also going to go and date the rainbow one that I did last time. A great way to keep a record of when each page was completed. Thank you to the person who gave me this idea. I did not jot down your name, and there are quite a few comments, so I can't find your comment again, but thank you very much. Ideas always welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really hope you enjoyed it and that you were inspired to create your own layout with magazines only. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and then hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks again for watching. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.